Okay, so standard AWS console. AI services are available down here, so let's go through Lex. So let me just say that Lex is right now in limited preview, so you need to request access, and once the team looks at your request and gives you access, you'll have access to this console. Okay, so I have a couple of bots here, but let's just go create one. So the Lex console provides you with a few built-in samples that you can get started with, or you can create your own app. Let's just go create a sample and get started with it. So let's do schedule an appointment. And you need to pick a role because Lex is going to be calling either a Lambda function or doing text-to-speech recognition on your behalf. So I have a role already created. We'll take a look at it. Okay, and it goes ahead and starts building the bot. So what it's doing right now is it's creating the different slot types, and then it's associating them into an intent, and it's assigning the intent into the application. It takes a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes sometimes, depending on the complexity of the bot. So while we're looking at it, well, I was going to let you guys introduce yourself to each other, but I guess the bot's ready for us to look at now. So let's start on the left. So here's the different slot types we have. Not all of these are for this intent, for this bot. Some of these were created when I was playing around earlier today. So this is your intent. The make appointment intent is what was created in the bot. You see there's some sample utterances which are triggers to invoke the intent. So things a user would say, something like, book me an appointment or book me a hotel room. You can also parameterize these. So you can say something like, book me a root canal, for example. Then you have the different slots here. So there's an appointment type, and you see the slot type is a custom type. We'll get into that in a second. But there's also a date and a time, which are built-in types. So what this means is you can specify custom types, you can create your own types, or you can specify built-in types that we have. Each slot has one or more prompts assigned to it, so it's up to you to define these prompts. You can make them friendlier, so you can make them look like it's a conversation that's happening. In this case, there's only one for now, but you have the ability to assign more than one prompt for each slot type. And then finally, there's a confirmation prompt, which is probably a pretty good practice to have. So this gets triggered when every slot has been filled with some kind of data, and then you can present this back to the user just to give them a chance to look at all the data they provided and maybe approve or cancel a transaction at that point. And then down here you have the two fulfillment modes. So if you specify a Lambda function, you can give it the Lambda function, and that'll get triggered when the confirmation is approved. If not, you can return parameters back to the client. So let's take a very quick look at this appointment type value slot type that we created. See, there's 3 different options I've provided. So the intent, what it'll look for is for me to either give it one of these 3 options. It'll either look for cleaning or whitening or root canal. Anything else will trigger a retry. Basically, it didn't understand what the user said, so it's going to prompt them for a different value in this case. And then walking quickly through some of these other options. You can specify different voices, so we pick Sally as the default. You can pick a session timeout, so in case the user starts this interaction with a bot, but they don't provide you all the data you need within this timeout, it'll reset and start from scratch. And then you provide the role. Interesting thing is it also provides the concept of versions and aliases. So you can keep iterating on your bot. You can as soon as you have a version you're happy with and you deploy it, you don't have to start working on a brand new bot at that time. You can just keep pushing new versions of the bot, and you can have your app target a very specific version of the bot. This is similar to how Lambda functions work if you're familiar with them. You have the ability to publish this bot to Facebook as a Facebook bot. Amazon handles the hosting of this bot in the interaction. So you just provide the appropriate values you need here. You'll get a callback URL, and you can go set up your Facebook bot. And you have monitoring set up with CloudWatch. So there's a bunch of metrics you can use to measure how effective your bot is, if you're seeing any failures, successes, if there are any improvements you need to make to the utterances, which is fairly common. That's how we train the model. And then just some other operational metrics for the bots. Okay? And so we've got this bot created, but let's go test it as well. So, okay, so you notice I didn't actually type the intent, the utterance as it was. I didn't say book an appointment, I just typed book APPT. And the engine behind this bot actually is able to understand what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to specify the exact text that you expect the user to provide. You just need to provide it enough information that the bot can figure out the model and interpret user inputs. So we have different appointment types. Feel like I need a root canal, so let's go ahead and schedule that. And let's do it on Friday. Okay, you can see I didn't specify an exact date, I specified Friday. I could have had something like Christmas Day and it would have actually figured out what date that is. So the engine's actually pretty smart when it comes to pulling a bot. Okay, so here's my confirmation prompt. Say yes. And these are my slot types. So appointment type is now filled with root canal. The date is filled with the date. And the time is now filled with the time I specified. If this was in my app, this would come back to my app and then I can act on it the way I want it to. One more thing you have is you have the ability for error handling. You can specify custom prompts. So if someone's saying something or typing something that the bot doesn't understand, maybe doesn't trigger an intent, you can prompt them in a certain way to say, give me a different phrase, maybe I don't understand what you're saying. And you have the ability to specify the number of times you can continue this interaction, and then you can have a fail phrase. Okay, so these are bots. Here's a list of all the intents you have. There's a list of all the slot types that you have. There's some built-in types, and there's more that are being added. Same thing with intents. There are some built-in intents as well. There'll be some more common ones, common use cases that will be added here as intents, so you don't have to write the same intent over and over again.